So now we're going to move on to the petals of the sunflower. For that, I'm going to actually use some yellow paste. So this is Renshaw flower modeling paste in yellow. Of course, you can also use white and then just color it yellow. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of orange sugar paste to this, or rolled fondant. Remember, in the books, and there is a video on Flower Pro which specifically deals with really preparation of paste. And I talk about when you want to slow down the drying process a little bit, add in approximately 15 grams of sugar paste or rolled fondant to 85 grams of gum paste, flower modeling paste, petal paste will slow down the drying process a little bit. It gives you a little bit more working time. So what I would do here is, so I'm actually would scale off 85 grams of yellow paste and then 15 grams of orange sugar paste or rolled fondant. And so then what we do is, when you add this to the paste, you just knead this through. And you use a little bit of vegetable fat, vegetable shortening, just knead this through the paste. What that's going to do is going to give me a beautiful golden yellow. So this would be a lovely color, like, say, for example, if you were making a 50th wedding anniversary and you're doing golden yellow roses. And actually in volume 1 of Flower Pro book, I showed a golden yellow rose in this sort of color. But you see, this integrates the color through very quickly. Because the flower modeling paste dries fairly quickly, I add a little bit of the sugar paste or rolled fondant to it. It's at 15 grams to 85 grams. And what that does, that just gives you a little bit more working time. You have this nice golden yellow color. So then what we will do, this will be enough to make, obviously, the sunflower, all right, the large sunflower. And so we're going to take your paste here. It's going to measure off your paste. Now you actually need to make 8 petals, okay? The petals are actually going to be made, this is number 11 small size, so on your size guides will be a number 11 small, okay? And then what you would do is you put that underneath a pot, and then you make another 7 balls of paste the same size, okay? The way the mold has been designed, okay, you can see here just talking a little bit about the mold. So when the mold was designed, it's designed in a way that the actual petals here, this is the large sunflower petal. We actually will make 8 of these, all right, because this gives you 3 petals, and we're going to do 12 petals to form a full flower. So we actually need 4 of those, then another 4 for the next layer. And when we do this, all right, what I found works really well. This is a little bit like in my spring collection 2019, the peony leaf. That was made in a similar sort of way, where we actually made sausages of paste. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take you can use a little silicone mat or baking mat. This is good because you got a little bit of traction on here. So we're going to take one of your balls of paste, or I'm going to just condition this with a little bit of vegetable fat, vegetable shortening here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually make this into a 9 centimeter log. So I'm going to make a 9 centimeter, and then I'm going to cut it into 3 centimeter sections. All right, this means it's a way of dividing it up. So just roll this into a little sausage of paste. Okay, now what I've done here is I've actually just on a piece of paper, I've just drawn a 9 centimeter line. Okay, so just drawing a 9 centimeter line, and then what I'm going to do is going to just use this as my guide. So you see how that's going to just be made 9 centimeters in length. Okay, and then use a little knife or a little scraper, just cut this up into 3 centimeter pieces. All right, this is just an easy way to do this. Now, once we've done that, we're going to just use a little bit of corn flour. I'm going to just make a little point, so it looks almost a little bit like a pencil with a point on the end of it. So you see how you're just going to have a little point on the end of your pieces here. Okay, I'm going to take the mold. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of vegetable fat, vegetable shortening, just a little tiny bit on my finger. Okay, not too much, and I'm just going to just gently rub that into the mold. This will just help with release. When I'm working with shallow molds, like for example, if you've watched my tutorial on the rose calyx, very similar. If we use corn flour, it will sometimes slide around in here, but the vegetable fat or shortening actually almost holds it in place. Okay, and you can put just a little touch of corn flour onto the paste on top, but the vegetable shortening will actually hold that in. So I'm going to put this about 5 millimeters from the end of here. So just put the second one in and the third one. See? So it's very easy, but this is a really nice way to portion this out. Taking then my cosmetic sponge, I'm going to first of all work it to the end of the petal. here like this. So just going to work this to the end of the petal. And then you're going to just start working this down. So you see this will give you the thinness on the edge here. Okay. So you see how you just work that down like so. And it's going to work this down towards the end here like this. And then when you get to the end, you can just use a little scraper and just going to scrape across the excess paste here like that. So what that's going to do is just going to get rid of that extra paste you don't need here. Okay. But you just stay within the perimeter of the mold. Okay. Now we're going to take the back veiner. All right, the back veiner. This is a generic veiner which we're going to use actually for the back of this, the Gerber daisy, this daisy, this daisy, and this daisy. So it's used for sunflowers and daisy and Gerber daisy backs. Okay, so this is could also be used for veining ginkgo leaves and other things, like if you were making butterflies, you could actually make butterflies, use this for the butterfly wing as well. So we're going to place this on the top. So you see how it just lines up like this. And I'm just going to press down where I know my 3 petals are. 1, 2, 3, like that. So this is going to give you the veining onto the back of the petals, okay? We're just going to release this from the mold. So you see having the little bit of vegetable fat in there has held it in place, but it obviously then comes out very, very easily. We're going to put this onto a pad. All right, you can use a little small pad for this because it will fit, or a larger pad. So this is the back, all right? So when you take it out of the mold, this is the back petal, the back of the here. See, it's almost like a fan shape. We're going to now take a balling tool, all right? So with a balling tool, I'm just going to gently go around the edge. Now, I don't really want to make them frilling, but what I'm doing here is just going to give a little bit of shape to the petals. So just gently with my balling tool, just like this, just like we would do a rose, okay? I'm then going to turn this over. So I'm going to turn this over onto a piece of soft foam. So this is the front of the petal where you see you have these like raised ridges, okay? And with my companion tool, with the needle end of the companion tool, I'm just going to just gently go down the center of the petals like this. So you see how you're going to get this slight point on the ends, okay? Now I've already got some of these created. So what you do is you want to take a small zip top type of bag. I put a piece of fun foam in here, but you could also put a piece of wax paper, a piece of cardboard. This just makes it easier to get it out. And what you do is you take this onto a scraper and it's going to pop that into the bag. Doesn't matter if they overlap each other slightly, and you will seal that up, okay? All right, so you see how this is sort of how you would create the petals. Now, you would then take number 2 petal, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. So you would do that basically 8 times. All right, so that is one method to make the sunflower petals. And particularly if you don't have a pasta machine, this would be the method I would recommend, all right? And it really doesn't take that long to do because you're only investing maybe 2 minutes in each of the sections, okay? Now, the alternative method to doing the sunflower is actually to use some paste rolled through the pasta machine. So I've gone through my KitchenAid pasta machine, and what I've done is I've used number 1 thickness, which is the thickest setting. So it's quite thick, all right? But it's about thickness of the other petals. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my Flower Pro. This is the 11 centimeter or 110 millimeter cutter. It's the largest of the 3. So remember, in my Flower Pro Cut Edge cutters, all right, this is the largest size here, which is the 11 centimeter one, which actually has it marked on here, 110 millimeters, which is 11 centimeters, okay? So this is the 110 millimeter cutter. Just going to put a little bit of cornstarch down. And I'm just going to show you one of these, but when you actually do this, we would actually cut out 3 of these. So what you do here is you take the cutter, press down. Remember, these have a Pro Cut edge, which is like buying a professional kitchen knife. You're going to get a lovely cutting edge on your petals, okay? So we're going to take this paste, and then what you do is you actually are going to take the cutter. Now, this is a really unique way to use the cutter, and you can actually use this for fantasy flowers, sort of dahlia type of flowers, and different other ones as well. So what you do here, you just position this over the top, okay? So you see how you want to position it so you get that sort of lined up so it looks fairly symmetrical. You press this down with the cutter, go round, and you see you almost get like a sort of an instant sunflower. So if you wanted just to do like a quick flower, you literally could do these in 3 sizes the large, the medium, and the small, put them on top of each other after they're veined, and then you could build a basic sunflower or a dahlia type of flower. And of course you could do dahlias, you would use thinner paste, usually a number 3 on your pasta machine instead of a number 1. So now what I'm going to do is going to take my cutting wheel, all right, so with my cutting wheel, now don't worry if there's a little bit of variation in the thickness because it will obviously fill the mold up, but what you do here is you're going to actually cut this with your cutting wheel, so you will cut this into 3, 3, and 3 petals. So you see you actually will get 3 out of 1 blossom. So of course if you're using this method, which would be an optional, this method I showed you first, or this method, you'd actually need to cut out 3 of these blossom shapes, and you would actually then, of course, that would yield 9 1/3. Okay, so you'd have one piece extra. So then you would take these pieces and it's going to pop that back into your plastic flap. So this is a plastic flap we use to stop the pieces drying. So you cut these out, put these into your plastic flap. This would stop them drying while you work on the first one. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to just take the petal. I'm going to hold the petal about halfway down, and I'm just going to just tug it slightly. So you see, just tug it slightly, so that just lengthens it a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to proceed just like we did before. We're now going to take just a little bit of vegetable fat shortening into the mold cavity. Okay, and then you're going to just going to lay your paste into there like that. And just again, just position this so it sort of sits into the mold like so. Okay, you can put just a little touch of flour cornstarch on there if it's a little sticky. All right, and then you're going to, again, just going to work this into the mold. You see, you just push this in with so using your cosmetic sponge, just put this into the mold and just going to fill up the mold so it fills this level. Stay within the perimeter of the mold, okay? But so if you have a pasta machine, this technique is a little bit quicker, all right? So it's slightly quicker than doing it with the sausages. So having shown you then 2 different methods, you have 2 different options then, depending on your time frame, or as I said, if you don't have a pasta machine, then you can of course just use the first method. But alternatively, of course, you could just roll the paste out. Obviously number 1 is about the depth of the cavity. So if you rolled out, so it's about the depth of the actual inside of the mold, that would be about number 1 thickness, all right? And then again, we're going to take the back veiner. So with the back veiner, this will go into place. All right, and again, we're just going to take this out. So remember, this is the back of the petal, okay? This is the back of the petal, so we're going to take this, we're going to just pop this. And usually I use like a little scraper like this. This is great because it makes it easy to lift this up. And then remember, with your balling tool, so with your balling tool, it's going to lightly soften. Just a little bit, okay? And then we're going to take this, so remember this is softened on the back, and then we're going to turn this over to the front side, which is the side with the raised ridges. And this is where we're going to now just take your needle tool end of your companion tool. Remember, the companion tool comes with the filler flower mold, Ultimate Filler Flower Mold. We also do sell this separately with the little mini pad. So this also comes in a little kit as well. And this is an excellent way to do flowers and use the molds. So we're going to take so you see this one will go, so they look exactly the same. It's just, I've shown you 2 different methods of creating the same technique, all right? So we've got here now 2 sets of 4. So these are going to give us the 2 layers of petals for our sunflower. Now remember, this sunflower, I mean, it's obviously quite an investment of time. Certainly not as time consuming as if you made it with individual petals and with veiners and things like that. But obviously this is a really stunning flower, as you'll see when it's finished. So generally on most cakes, you're only going to need 1 sunflower and some foliage or some other flowers with it as a really striking sort of focal flower. Now, once we get the sunflower made, before we start building, we're going to make a foil former, okay? So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to take this is food service foil, so this is used for like hot dogs and wraps and things like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 2 sheets of foil, okay? Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to sort of fold this. I'm just going to fold this over on the bottom and the side. Okay, and I want to make about a 13 about an 18 centimeter, about a 7-inch square. Okay, so I'm just going to use my size guide on here. So I'm just going to make this about 18 centimeters, about 7 inches as a square. Okay. This doesn't have to be exact, and it doesn't, it doesn't matter if it's slightly smaller, slightly larger. As I explained in the sort of, obviously if you watch the sunflower leaf tutorial, YouTube, you'll see how I talk about, this is a soft foil used for, as I said, for food service. A little softer than a roll of aluminum foil where you pull it off. That's a little bit too hard. This is a lot softer, so it's easier to form into a shape. Now here we have this is a 5 centimeter ball, okay, a 2-inch styrene ball, okay, so I've just cut that in half. And then what I would do here is I would just form this over the top here. So if you've watched some of my other tutorials, like for example on making the peonies, I used a sort of a spoon shape for that. And we use this technique for drying also like the Gerber daisy and also the regular daisy, but just doing different size balls, okay? So you're just gonna just open that up. So you see how now we have a sort of a former for the flower to sit into. I'm going to take my companion tool and I'm gonna make a hole through here, okay? So I've got a little hole through the bottom of this, okay? That's gonna be to accommodate our wire. So that would be how you would make the former for the sunflower. Now we're going to start off, I have here a piece of fun foam, all right, so this is fun foam. You alternatively could just use a piece of cardboard, all right, would work as well. And I just would use a hole punch, all right. This particular one is one I use for, as I said, with a larger, so you could just use a hole punch. Even a piece of paper will work fine here as well. But you want something that you can actually pick up. And what we then do is you take out the first group of 4 petals. Now the reason why we have these in a little bag is to, of course, stop this drying, okay? And then you're going to take these and you're going to arrange these. So you see this mold was designed, so you just take these 4 petals. You see how you've got the center circle there. And we're just going to arrange these petals like this. This is the 3rd, this is the 4th. So they would just sort of sit here like so. All right, so just gonna open them up a little bit so they just sort of come together to form a complete flower. Okay, so you see how that's going to be how you would do your first part there. If you do have any petals, just have a little. Sometimes when you need the paste, you might get a little seam there, so just go in there with your tool. Okay, so what we're then going to do is going to take your sunflower center. So this is my sunflower center here. And I'm going to take my center. You see how you can sometimes lose a little bit of your pepper or your coffee when we do for the center. There might be a couple of little loose pieces here. But now what we're going to do is going to brush your egg white. So you're going to brush your egg white all the way around the back of this. See, I'm brushing this all the way around the back, all over the center part here, just to the bottom of the cuts. Now remember, you might get a little bit of brown on or dust if you're doing the dusted one. So you would just need to wash your paintbrush after you finish this project. Remember, just keep your paintbrush into a wet towel. So now we're going to take you see, we can then bring the sunflower up like this, okay? And that's why, as I said, this could be a piece of cardboard, piece of foam. So you're going to pull this up. So you see the sunflower will then sit into the middle like so, all right? And then you're going to then just turn this upside down. Don't worry if one of them comes off, because it just is a way, an aid of getting these up. Because you can do the last one can be just put in there separately. All right, so that's going to just go into position here. All right, so this is going to give you the first 4 sets of petals, okay? All right, so these petals are going to go here. Now you want to just bend this wire and just put this on a hanging rack, or hang it upside down, okay? So you just want to sort of hang that upside down while we do the next 4 petals. And that is also the reason why you want to make sure that you have your petals all pre-made before you move on to the next stage, okay? So now what we're going to do is going to take then the next 4 petals out here, all right? And on these petals, what we're going to do is you're going to just brush the egg white on the sort of up to where the petals start. Okay, so you're just going to take your egg white, going to brush this up to where the petals start. This will be the last one here. And then these are going to be attached individually to the back. And now we're going to take your, that's also why you want to have your former ready to go as well, because once we get these petals on. Now, this is the seam here, all right? So when you take your first petal, you just will attach it so that the middle petal will sit over the seam, you see? So what they're doing is they're actually going in between those petals. And then the next petals, just turn this over. This will go here, all right? Just gonna mold those on, so where they join, just gonna just mold those together. This is gonna be the third one. And don't worry, there's a little bit of an overlap on here, but these just will fit on. And then the fourth and final one will be taken here. As I said, don't worry if they overlap a little bit, all right, but just so you have 4 petals and then 4 petals. I'm just going to just mold these around, all right, and just make sure you mold this around here, all right. Now, so then what we're going to do is going to take your former, all right, so with my former, so you keep the flower upside down, all right, and you're going to slide the former onto the wire. So the former goes down the wire like that. See, then what you do is you flip the sunflower over. Now you see now you have some aluminum foil where you can just scrunch this, all right, to give your sunflower shape. Now there's 2 options here. If you were using a large drying rack like this, you could just put this on the top of the drying rack like so, all right, so that is one option. And that is actually a locker shelf, so that's actually used in school lockers, and it works really, really well for a drying rack. And then the other option is you could take your wire, you can fold your wire, and you're just going to put this in on top of a cup. Now you could weight this, you could put some dried beans or rice or things in there, but this is going to sit in the top of the cup like so, okay? Next step is going to be to take some foam, and I'm going to use some foam here. Just going to pop that to one side. So I'm going to just use some little foam pieces. They don't need to be too large. Okay. So I'm just going to take my foam pieces. I'm going to pop those onto my hands. And then I'm going to take my bead-in tweezers. These are silicone tip tweezers. And I'm going to just use this just to prop up just the inside petals, just a little bit. Now we're not making like a ward lily, so we don't want to make these too propped up. But as I said, also don't worry, you see like this petal is underneath this petal. That actually helps to make it look more natural. You see the nice thing about this, when I designed this mold, is that it's easier to handle the pieces in, quarters, in like 3 petal sections rather than making one big, like huge daisy. Because when you watch like my Marguerite daisy YouTube, that's of course a lot smaller flower. That will be made all in one piece. But when we make the sunflower and the Gerber daisy, which is the Gerber daisy is a separate tutorial, I do them in the sections like this. All right, so you see how you're just going to prop this up like so. And that is how you make your stunning sunflower. Okay, so anyway, that's the first step. Now, this now needs to dry for usually about 3 hours. Now, remember the sunflower, you have first of all the center. You remember how I explained in the first part of this segment, you make the center, you let that dry for about 2 to 3 hours, then you paint it, and then ideally you want to leave it like 8 to 12 hours. So you're talking about like the sunflower is generally something you're going to make over maybe a 3-day period of time. Remember, a food dehydrator will help to speed up drying process, all right? So it would be possible to make it sort of like in 1 day the sunflower, and then obviously petals, let it dry overnight, and then you could obviously finish it up. So it is a 2 to 3 day flower. This is not like, say, some of the smaller blossoms, hydrangeas, flowers like that, where you could make them from start to finish, let them dry for 2 hours and finish them off. So you do have to plan a little bit with these larger, but these are definitely like a wow factor flower. You put one of this on a cake, it's going to look stunning. The sunflower is said, so now what we need to do is let it dry for about 3 hours, all right? And then you need to do that so you can time it. So after about 3 hours, we're going to actually take it out, we're going to turn it over onto a container, so then the back will dry. Because you have all those layers of petals, it's a bit like making the peony. It takes several hours for it to dry all the way through. So we generally dry it for about 3 hours this way, and then we'll take it out of the former. So I'm going to put this to dry, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to flip it out of the former, and then we're going to move on to the calyx.